Hi folks, and welcome to this week's Productivity Enhancer. This week we're going to take a look at titles in Premiere Pro. As you can see on our timeline, I have a lot of different individual clips here, so we're going to make a mountain bike video. So for that video, we want to create a title slide that gives you the title information of the video, of course, as well as who's presenting it. And once we take care of that, we're going to create a title for rolling credits at the very end. So in Premiere Pro, we can access titles in a lot of different ways. First, we can go up and we can click on the New Item button, under which we have a whole list of things that we can create: sequence, offline file, adjustment layer, etc. And here we have title. We can also go up to File, New, and create a title. And we also have Title, New Title, in which we can create a default still, roll, or crawl title. But the easiest way to do it is just to hit Control-T, and that brings up our new title dialog box. So under name, you can call this title anything you'd like. I'm going to call it what the text is going to say. I'm going to call it SolidBox Presents, and hit Enter, and that new title gets created. Now I'm going to expand this box a little bit so we can see things better. Now once this title slide is open, we can put objects of any kind in here. We have shapes that we can make, we have lines, and we also have the type tool, which allows us to put text. So I'm going to select the type tool and just click anywhere in here. We're not going to worry about size or font right now. We're just going to type the actual characters, the letters that we want in the title. Okay, once we have that typed, then we can go ahead and highlight that whole set of letters, and then we can just switch through our title styles, and you can see we can add any of these title styles that we like, and we can just cycle through and check and see which one we like best. You can think of these title styles as fonts, although they aren't specifically fonts, but that's essentially what they are. So we're going to stick with Myriad Pro here. And then we can scale this text box any way we like by dragging on the handles here on each corner, side, or the top or bottom. Now if you hold Shift and drag out, it'll maintain the proportions. However, you can just grab it and free drag in any way you like as well. So I'm going to drag this out a little bit more, help it breathe a little bit, and then center it up. We can also manipulate the size by grabbing our Type tool again, highlighting that text, and manipulating it by just dragging up or down on the font size number right here, and that will ensure that it maintains proportions as well. We can also manipulate the kerning to manipulate the spacing of each letter in reference to each other by just toggling up and down with the kerning tool, or you can just place the cursor wherever you want it and manipulate the kerning for that one specific space. And that'll just move that one space about like so. So I like the size of this right now, so I'm just going to center it up. The easiest way to do that is click center. That'll center it vertically, and then we can click the horizontal center, and that'll make sure that everything is lined up as we like. We can also change the color of specific letters by grabbing whichever letters we want to change. And then we go over to fill. You see the fill type here, solid. If we change that color to whichever color we like, how about... that looks close to our SolidBox blue. And then we want the box to be the typical SolidBox gray that we have, which is a little darker. And then I want presents to be all in white. And that looks like a pretty good first title slide. So once we have it where we want, we don't need to save it. We just close it, and that'll show up right in our clip bin, and we can drag it wherever we like. However, I want to zoom in here so we have a bit more space to work with. There we go. And that'll be our very first title slide. The length of that title slide is dictated by your preferences. You can change that by going up to Edit, Preferences. Under General, we have this still image default duration set to 150 frames. You can change that to 200, whatever you want to. If you want it longer or shorter, go ahead and change that based on what you use most. So we're just going to cancel out of that. And you can see that we have a lot of space in between this title slide and the first video clip that we have. So I'm just going to trim it out. And there we go, and make it the length of that space. So when we hit play, you can hear our music track in the background. And then once we get to the end of that title slide, our video should show up. There we go. So that's our very first title slide. If we zoom out a little bit here, you can see that I've left a little bit of space here, and this is where the actual title of the video is going to go. So I've done you the favor of creating one specific title slide already, and that is this one right here. And this title slide is just a shape that I created with an elliptical shape with a bunch of triangles jutting off in all kinds of directions, just to give a nice little jagged shape. Inside of this, I want to put the title. So we go up to Title, New Title, Default Still, go ahead and create a new title. And now I can put text on top of this title slide and put our title right here. So the title of our film is Shreadzilla, so I'll just type that in. You can see that the text is already white, so we're going to want to change that so it actually pops off of that white background. So let's change that to red, and how about add this style to it. So we want to make that a little bit bigger without going out of that white space. How about there? And then we'll just center it up and see if that works. Now I want a little lower. That looks pretty good. So if we take a look at our properties over here, we have our transform, which shows you all the values which we just came up with when we positioned this Shreadzilla right in the center. And under properties, we have the font family, the font style, the size, etc., etc. You can take a look at all of those. And if you don't like the color, you can always change it. Let's see if we can change it to more of a SolidBox color scheme. There, it gives it a little tint of the SolidBox colors. And then if we continue going down, we have all kinds of other features that we can add to this text, which even though it is a text saying words, it's still an object according to Premiere Pro. So if we want to add a stroke, we can do that just by clicking Add, and we can increase the size. Looks like there's one here already. Add a little bigger stroke, make that color. And if you're familiar with Photoshop, then you'll notice that all of these properties correspond to layer styles within Photoshop. So we have stroke, we can add a shadow, which there already is one, but I kind of want to add a little more shadow, so we'll increase the size here. Let's increase it to about 10, even bigger than that. How about 40? There we go, that looks better. And increase the spread a little bit. And that'll help that text pop out. So once we close that, we now have that tile that we can drag right on top of the shape one that we created before. And when it comes out of that, we have our nice title. I think I want to add a little bit of motion to these tiles. I'm going to start with Shreadzilla and make it go from right to left. By changing the roll crawl options, we can change that to crawl left and then have it start off screen and end off screen. Hit OK and let's take a look at that. All right, now we're going to need the shape to move as well. Let's see what it would look like coming from the right, starting off screen, ending off screen, and have it converge in the middle. Now I'm not sure how this is going to look, so it may look terrible, but let's give it a shot. So, not the greatest. However, I think if it stops right in the middle, it could be a nice effect. So let's go ahead and see if we can do that. So we change that crawl option to not end off screen and click OK. And do the same for the shape. Click OK. Let's see how it looks. Not bad. I think we can get it to look a little better though. And if you're wondering, I'm just double clicking on each title slide to bring it back up, and then we can edit however we'd like. So let's set our post roll to, how about 150? And that'll hopefully get our title to stop where we want it. And let's do the same for the shape. And we'll close that and take a look. There we go, that looks much better. And then it transitions right into the video material. We can also add a video transition. How about a dip to white? Not bad, let's just trim this off a little bit. So when it dips, yeah, I like that. And now we have our two title slides. One is a still, one has a little bit of motion. So let's go ahead and expand out and go to the end of this film. And you see I've left a bit of space here for a rolling title slide. And that'll go right here. Roll credits. So if you do have to create credits that roll like at the end of most films, the best thing to do is create them on a notepad file. This notepad file just has the text and the spacing. It doesn't have any other formatting. So you can see we have the title, featuring all these people, directed by etc., 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 with all of this information. So what we do is we copy right from our notepad, and then we create another title slide, Control T. And I didn't mention this earlier, but if you notice, we do have the width of 1920, height of 1080. That's just the default dimensions that we've been working with in this video. So that's all going to be set for you. You usually won't need to worry about that unless you want a different size tile. But chances are you're just going to click OK after you rename your title. So this one's going to be Rolling Credits. Next, we grab our type tool and just go ahead and right click and paste. And all of that information will show up right here, including the spacing that you had on the notepad. One thing you notice immediately is that it's all justified left. Probably want to just center it up, center it in the center. And then we can change our roll crawl options to roll, start off screen, end off screen, hit OK. First thing you notice is that we have a scroll bar that allows you to scroll all the way through this title slide. And again, you can go ahead and add any type of style that you'd like. And let's just change the rest of this to that Myriad Pro. With a little better color than that. And just change it to solid. We can scroll right back to the top of our credits and we are good to go. So let's drag that one in here. And now if we just leave it as is, it'll scroll through really quickly. But if we do want to change the speed, we'll just trim it out to the end of the song or the end of the video, and that'll slow it down considerably. So that might even be a little too slow. So let's just trim it back, maybe about that length, and we can trim our audio as well to match it, and take a look. Beautiful. So that's our credit slide, and it's rolling in a very predictable manner, and it was very easy to create. So that's a couple basic yet really commonly used title slides in Premiere Pro. You can see how Adobe likes to have matching functionality between programs like Photoshop and Premiere Pro and After Effects and Illustrator. And that's all just to make the user experience easier. So the more skills you develop on one program, the more you can take to another. So that's this week's productivity enhancer. I hope it's been helpful. Thanks for watching.